good morning, good morning. Good afternoon. I don't know where you're at, Lori, Sandra, Angie, Jeremy, welcome. Give everybody a second to get in here. Good morning if you're out here on the West Coast with me. Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Do me a favor. As you guys jump in here this morning, this afternoon, Oklahoma City, Angie said, I'm right in the middle. I don't know, it's noon. Welcome, Angie. Where are the rest of you guys joining me from? Claudel, Christian, Ty, Scott, Sandra, Lexi. Oh, look at this. I'm jealous already. Phoenix. My wife and I lived in Phoenix. How many years ago now? 6 or 7 years ago? I know it was a lot better outside than it looks right here in Seattle, Washington. And all right, so real quick, do me a favor. And, a lot of times when we promote these webinars, we have them. Some of you guys that end up joining us are Brivity customers already, and some of you aren't. Some of you are looking for tools that you can use in your business to grow your business in 2024. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, we're going to talk about it from the perspective of tools that Brivity offers. So if you're not a Brivity client, love you to check out, maybe further after this if the things I talk about today are interesting. Things that, Bothell, Christian, I'm literally right down the street from you. I'm in Kenmore. So Christian knows what it looks like outside right now, which is actually a pretty nice day for Seattle. It's not raining on us, Christian, right? Okay, so I'm going to jump in here. We're going to talk 10 tools. So if you're a Brivity customer, you know about these tools. Some of them you might kind of not have tapped into yet, and you're here to be reminded of what you have at your fingertips. If you're not a Brivity client, look, Brivity's not the only place that offers this collection of tools. You may have 1 or 2 or 3 of these already in your business. We'll talk about how we use these things today and how we can use them to grow our business this year. So I'm going to jump in here. You guys have questions as we hop along. Feel free to chat them in. Let me go into slideshow mode here for you guys. I got the chat up, Angie. So if you want to type a question in as we're going through here. Jeremy, welcome from Davis, California. All right, 10 tools to double your business in 2024. Let's jump right in. I work with a lot of Ben Kinney's Place partners, and every month we have some new folks partner with us here at Place. And every time that we kind of approach a new database, and I would take this same approach with a brand new Brivity client coming in if I was being asked to consult them on kind of what they should do right away. One of the first things that we see is a lot of you guys over the years have collected these really nice databases that have been a function of 2 things. One, they're filled with people I know, right? Past clients, Sphere, people I've bumped into at events or whatever over the years, and then a bunch of people I don't know. And so people I don't know leads, right? And I've got them from Zillow and my website from 3 years ago. And man, if I've been in the business for a while, I might have leads from like a long career in real estate. One of the things that we consult is use these listing alerts. So listing alerts are just our way to send properties out to people. And Brett, there's one of the craziest statistics in real estate is how many visits the top 5 websites in real estate report getting every month. It's like 170 million visitors if you put Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, which by the way is doing commercials with like Lil Wayne now, but Homes.com's moved into the number 2 position, but it's 175 million. It's like 55% of the US population is visiting those top 5 websites. And I'll bet if we put in all the rest of the real estate websites and we counted up all the traffic, it's like 75% of people in the United States go on a real estate website every month. And so the question that I'll always pose to our teams is, what would happen tomorrow if somebody in your database woke up and said, you know what? I want to look at real estate. There's our dream house is waiting out there. No, we're not going to buy it for 3 years, but I want to go start thinking about it now. I want to start looking at it. Maybe I'm curious what my home is worth. Like if anybody woke up today and thought real estate in your database, would they know to go to your website? And the answer in both of those kind of scenarios, I've met them and I know them, or I don't know them at all, is likely no. Even in the I've met them, I know them, maybe even they're my past client. If I don't have some mechanism pulling them, letting them know my website exists, they're definitely not going to pick mine tomorrow when they wake up. So if I don't know them, in our world, they have a listing alert. If they were a lead at any point, so for us, immediately upon partnering with the team, we're looking to get 20% of the database lit up with a listing alert. And most databases that I've seen, and I've seen thousands of databases, you guys, the vast, vast majority of them have at least 20% is leads that should be getting properties from us. Now, if I don't know, Christian, I'll use you as an example because I know our area here. You're in Bothell. So if I didn't know, I just had some lead, right? I collected them from over the years. There's a couple ways I could go. Christian, I could do a listing alert for them for homes in Bothell and Kenmore and Woodinville, right? If all your marketing over the years have been kind of focused in those areas, the leads that you'd bought had been in those areas, I'd just give them a listing alert in that area. I don't know, Christian, around here, what, maybe 500 to 1.2 million, right? That average price home in our area is 700, somewhere in that range. Right? I just put a bracket around where I sell houses and start to send them properties in that area. I don't know, Christian, you could just decide, you know what? I've kind of bought leads all over, some in Bellevue, some in Seattle. You know, I'm just going to do King County. And I'm going to do 400 to 1.2 million because the average price home in King County is $800,000. Now, if I knew something about the lead, obviously, guys, I'll try to dial that in. But when we engage a new team, we're immediately trying to get to 20%. Over the next 6 months, we're trying to get 50% of that database engaged with the listing alert. And we have yet, by the way, to find a database. We have 300 teams we partner with at Place, yet to find a database that we could not somehow, some way get to 50% coverage on our listing alerts, which gives us a steady flow of people on our website that we can reach out to almost daily. Listing alerts for home buyers, it's a now. Once we start to get buyers coming to our website, that doesn't just happen because we sit on our hands and have a pretty website and hope people show up, right? We drive them there with these. Now, once they start coming there, this tool inside of Brivity becomes really valuable to you. It's our reverse prospecting tool. And what it allows you to do is go in there, pull up any listing in the MLS. So let's say you just took a new listing, right? And show exactly the people that might be a match for that listing. Now, where is that important? Well, there's a couple places where Ben Kinney's team uses this. Guys, we will use this at the listing appointment. Like if we feel like we need one more thing to try to get them to close, what we'll do is we'll literally live pull up our Brivity in front of that client, pull up a listing similar to theirs, or we can even just go in there and say, you know, Bothell, Washington, or let's say we're going to list it at 750. Christian, we could go in there and pull up everything. Anybody that's looked on our website in Bothell, Kenmore, and Woodinville between 700 and 800,000. And we could literally show them in the database. Look, we've got 97 people that have been on our website. They've looked at a property just like your house that we're about to put on the market. And our promise to you as a team is the day we list your house, we're going to call every single one of these individuals and we're going to invite them to come and tour your house that first Friday before the open house on Saturday. We can send an email out to all these people. We can put them in an easy dialer and then just go in and efficiently make phone calls to them, inviting them. Look, in 2020, when you guys put a listing on the market, it sold right away, and there was another listing to go get right after that. In 2024, most of you guys are still in markets that are pretty strong, and you put a listing on, it's priced right, it's going to sell. But here's the challenge in 2024. It's not going to be as easy to go find that next listing. If 2024 ends up being anything like 2023 and we end up around 4 million houses sold again instead of 5.5, that's a 30% reduction in the market. Our teams are really focused this year on trying to find buyers for our own listings. And this is a way to do it. If we can zero in our database and go target people that are a match for our listing that we just put on the market, maybe we can go sell our own listing. Now, Jeremy, again, I think a lot of us are in markets still where things are pretty good. And if we price it right, it's going to sell. We don't need to go sell it. But where are we going to pick up the other 30% of those transactions if the market is still suppressed this year? It might be on finding buyers for our own listings. We don't need to, but man, what if we could? What if every third listing we took, we went out and found the buyer for it? That could account for that other 30% of the business that some of us, right, struggle to find just to stay on par. Reverse prospecting in your database. It's a really strong tool. This functionality in Brivity, it's called the search listings functionality. And Brett, if you're a Brivity user, you can find it on the left navigation. There's a little spyglass thing that allows you to search for listings. A really kind of great use of this tool also is to go in your Brivity, look and see, like you can go and sort by who's been on your website today. Let's do it really quick. I'm just going to hop into Brivity real fast for us. And let me pull up, there's Chris Suarez. Let's go into Jolene's account. This is Ben Kinney's team in Bellingham, Washington. And when I come in here to their leads, and they got a big old database, right? Now I bet there's 20,000 listing alerts going out to this 34,000 person database. But when we come in here and we look at the last visits that have been made to their website, what we'll see is just a whole bunch of opportunities for them, like every day, right? Every day it looks like this in here. Every hour there's people visiting their website. It's a function of that pressure they're putting on the database with those listing alerts. Let's say that I came in here with Jesse, right? And I'm looking today at what I saw Jesse looking at. Now, he didn't look at anything multiple times. All those were just one view on properties. But I can come down here and look at Judy, right? What I'm looking for is somebody that, ooh, look at this lady. Holy smokes. Look at that. She looked at this property 9 times. You guys, this is like real data. This is probably the best lead they have in their database right now. But you guys think she likes this listing? She looked at it on the 6th. She looked at it on the 5th multiple times throughout the day. She looked at it later on the 6th. 9 times she favored it. I mean, she's like looking at properties deeply. This is a really, really engaged visitor. You know what I would do today? I would literally take this listing right here. I would come over and use this search listings functionality, and I would just feed that listing right back to Judy. I'd say, hey, Judy, I saw that you were looking at, and I didn't even, I saw you were looking at that property in Puyallup, right? And I'd just come in here, guys, and I'd share it right back to her. I'd say, Judy, let's go in and go take a look at that property. The one you favorited, the one you were looking at yesterday and the day before. Well, let's get out and look at it. And I'm just going to send her an offer right out of here to go see that property. Why? Because I can see she loved it. She was on it 9 times. She favorited it. That reverse prospecting or buyer match stuff, that really, really strong way to approach the database. Awesome way to have smart conversations with people while they're thinking about the house. And in a case where I have a listing, man, if I could target everybody in my database that had ever looked at a property similar to the one that I have listed, maybe I could find the buyer. Next tool, market reports. My mom is a real estate agent. Her name's Gail Smith. I like to brag on my mother. She sold 79 houses her first year in real estate in 2017. She's really a machine. She's like a real estate robot. But this is her favorite tool inside of Brivity. She calls these affectionately her come list me emails, Lexi. And her come list me emails are essentially something we set up. So if we have somebody in our database, and I beg you right now, like go in, if you have Brivity, what you'd want to do is come into your database right now. And we're looking for people that have an address and an email. Okay. Market reports. What's a market report? Let me go show you here, and I'll show you some of the activity here in Ben Kinney's Bellingham team account on people looking at these market reports. Now, again, they got thousands of them going out to people, right? There's 7 minutes ago, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, tons of opportunities. And what these are is a bunch of people that live in areas that Ben Kinney's team would sell houses, and they're engaging with the market report. Connor is here. That's telling them exactly what's going on around their house out in Sudden Valley, his house here on 79 Polo Park Drive. Now, we just started sending this to him, but I'll be darned if he didn't pretty engaged in it. Even that first time we sent it out to him. Look how many times he looked at it just the first time we sent it a few weeks ago, and now it's gone out to him again, and here he is again looking at it. We like to meet these people with a phone call. Connor, hey, it's Bob Stewart. I saw you checked out that market report I was sending you for Polo Park. Were you just curious? Or did you guys have some real estate related plans coming up this year? What had you looking? So what we would encourage you to do if you have Brivity, you should go maybe do this right now. But it's just we're looking for anybody in here that we don't have a market report set up for already, but we have two things we need to give them one. And here's the deal. If we don't give these people a market report, we don't set one up. And the tool to set it up, guys, really easy. It's this, it's automatic. I can just come in here and be like, boom, let's do 50 of them. Come in here, action. I want to do a market report. And then I hit save, and it uses this smart radius concept to go out and basically figure out how wide around that house do I need to get before there's enough data on there for the report to have some value for them. It's going to show them everything active around where they live right now. It's going to show them anything pending. And it's going to show them the things that have sold and what they actually sold for, given that your MLS allows for that, which about 85% of the MLSs around the country do. Right? Because if Michael and Robin drive into their neighborhood tomorrow and they see one of their neighbors' houses for sale, or maybe it's sold recently, it's got a little sold sign, you guys think that they're gonna call Katie and say, hey, Katie, how much did that house sell for? No, they're gonna go on the internet and find out if they're not getting one of these market reports from Katie, and right now they're not. So look, on a 34,000 person database to only have 418 people that maybe should have one that don't, that's pretty good, given that they probably have about 15,000 of these going out, which is leading to daily opportunities for them in the database to have a conversation with somebody that's thinking, what's happening around where I live? My mom calls those or come list me emails because multiple times a year, somebody replies to one of those and says, Gail, thank you so much for sending these and keeping us updated on what's been happening around where we live. Do you think you could come out and maybe talk to us about listing our house? And she's like, what do you mean? Do I think, could I? That's exactly what I could do. It's what I do. We got to make sure that we are not sending our clients, Claudel, on an internet speed dating event. Right? We got to make sure we're not hoping they don't go out to Zillow and find, what their neighbor's house sold for there and then end up as a lead in somebody else's database. That would be horrible. We've got a tool for you guys to make sure that doesn't happen. So every single person with an email and a physical address, market report. We want them to be getting the data about what's happening. And here's the cool thing about this. We set them up to go every 2 weeks. We used to send people a newsletter. Now we just send them data about what's happening around where they live, really specific to their house. We send about 26 of those a year. We get 26 amazing touches with our sphere, our past clients. Every lead in our database that came in as with an address. We even use these. This is a bonus. This is like advanced user stuff. We put a market report on every buyer as well. When we have somebody on a listing alert, think about what a listing alert is, right? It sends them properties each day as they hit the market. But it's just the new properties or price reduced. Angie, if the property we sent them 3 weeks ago that they kind of liked was to go pending, we don't send them a listing alert that says, hey, that one went pending, sorry. But the market report will show them that. The market report will also show them, Angie, the one they kind of liked last month that's now sold, and it'll show them how much it sold for. So we put market reports on our buyers to mirror or match their listing alert. So Christian, I'll go back to the example. Let's say we were sending somebody properties in Bothell because they were looking, around 700. So we're sending them properties in Bothell between 650 and 750. We're going to have a market report set up for them then, where they're going to see everything selling in Bothell between 650 and 750. We want to create a more educated buyer. We want to create a more educated buyer. And if it's a buyer lead, they're going to get that report weekly. They're going to have their listing alerts coming daily as new properties hit the market. If we can create a more educated buyer, Angie, maybe we won't have them calling us up and saying, hey, we want to make an offer on that $650,000 property. 400 is what we want to offer. Because they'll have seen over the last few months as they've been looking, we'll be showing them, what are those houses selling for? They're not selling for 400. They're probably selling for 655 or 660. We can create a more educated buyer. Brivity CMA tool. I was just showing a team yesterday how easy it is to use the Brivity CMA. It's a 5-5-5 method of pricing properties. Allows you to go in. We've got all the data from your MLS sitting back there in the CMA tool. You identify your subject property and you kind of set the parameters around the comps you want to go looking for. And then we'll pull up and show you the active comps. You pick 5 that are most appropriately comp to your property. Then you go to the pendings and you pick 5 pendings. Then you go to the solds and you pick 5 solds and they're all laid out right there. And then it creates this beautiful CMA. It's got summaries. It's got price per square foot. It's got all these cool, like, I don't know, little matrices that show all the data on it. Each listing's laid out in that thing. The price is shown at the bottom, and we use this concept of range pricing that you can choose to use or not. We have one of the teams that Ben partners with here at Place, Mariana and Derek Wagner. They're in Colorado, run an awesome real estate business. One of the things that they personally and the agents on their team do is they do one CMA every single day. Every single day, to somebody in their database, they create a CMA. And using the Brivity CMA tool, it takes them about 5 or 10 minutes. And once you get really good at it, it's closer to 5. I asked her one time, like, why do you do this? I love it. To me, it's practice, but like, what's your mindset around this? She said, well, Bob, if you're an agent that let's say you're going to do, you end up your first year in real estate, you kill it. You do 20 deals. That's a really, really solid first year in real estate. Let's say it took you, you did 20 deals, maybe 12 of those were buyers, 8 were listings, right? And in order to get those 8 listings, you had to go on 12 listing appointments to get your 8 listings. How many CMAs did you end up doing that year? Guys, most agents would do 12. You do a CMA when you have somebody who wants to list their house. And so you're basically practicing on real customers. And Mariana said, you know what? I wanted to massively accelerate the learning curve for the agents that I was partnered with. And she said, so the average agent on our team that was going to do 20 deals, they were going to end up doing about 12 CMAs that year. And that was not going to get them to a place where they're a master of pricing, which I think is one of the skill sets as an agent that, man, if you're really, really good at it, good at how to explain it, right? You end up taking less overpriced listings. You help your clients more. So she wanted to accelerate. So every day, and today, a lot of the CMAs, if they don't have somebody that's asking for one, right? A lot of times they'll go back to these people, their market report viewers, and they'll just do a CMA on that person. Hey, Jimmy, I saw that you were looking at the market report that we'd sent out for you. I don't know what had you curious, but I took the little bit of time to create a market analysis for your property. Here it is. Let me know what you think. Angie, let me ask you a question. Like, let's say you did that this year let's say you did it every other working day. There's 240 days in the year, or 240 working days. You did 120 CMAs. First off, you got 10 times as much practice at that kind of fundamental element of your business as that other agent who did 12. But here's you have 120 people that you just dropped out of nowhere, something valuable for them. Yeah, Brett, this approach is really, really, really strong. But here's my belief. Those people they do that for later when they go to list, like that one act during, the lifespan of when they were a lead in your database could be a really powerful motivator as they sit down and go, who are we going to call to list this house? Well, we might as well call Angie, right? She just sent us that CMA like 9 months ago. She keeps sending us those market reports. That this is really, really, I mean, I agree, Brett. This is a nugget. Thanks to Derek and Mariana for that one. All right. Seller lead capture pages. So you guys, if you're a Brivity client, you have one of these. If you're not a Brivity client, you may very well have this tool in your business today. If you don't, I would suggest you get your hands on this tool as fast as possible. And you could text platform to 59559 to do that, or talk to our team about how you can get your hands on the Brivity version of this tool. A lot of our teams have a multitude of this page on your website. So with a Brivity site, you guys can easily create more versions of this page. So you might have a what's your home worth page. You might have a what's your Bellingham home worth. Like for you in Bothell, Christian, you might have a one page for what's your Bothell home worth, one page for what's your Kenmore home worth, one page for what's your Woodinville home worth. You might have a different page for your past clients that you send out to your past clients that says, we helped you get the house you live in now, curious what it's worth. Here's the deal with these pages. 90% of the folks that have Brivity, just and probably across the agent landscape for people that have this tool, I bet it's 99%, are just sitting on their hands hoping somebody shows up on this page, right? Like, man, I got this thing on my website where people can see what their house is worth. And if somebody would just go there and fill it out, maybe they did it because they were thinking about selling their house. Maybe. But the reality is nobody's going to find that page. They don't even know your website exists. So about 9% of our Brivity teams have a budget dedicated to having Brivity drive people to this page. Right? We've got a leads team. They can help you get seller leads. People saying, I'm curious what my house is worth. And sometimes people are curious what their house is worth because they're thinking about selling it. But here's the secret. There's 1% of Brivity teams out there that understand that they could actually use this tool as leverage against the database they already have right now. And so the call to action here is to send this email out to your database. Regarding the current value of your home. Hi, Jimmy. Curious what your house is worth right now? There's lots of news out there about the real estate market, but many of our clients are getting more than they ever thought possible for their home still, even though all this talk out there about how the market's whatever it is, right? Whatever the news wants to try to paint the market as today. Head to our website and get a quick estimate. I bet your house is still worth more than you think. By the way, here's another one. And don't worry about reading these, because if you want those emails, and by the way, this landing page, you shoot it right now. It's just a Google Doc that you'll land on. You can copy that. This landing page, right? And then you could go build those as templates into your Brivity account if you wanted, using a link to your home value page in there. So on Ben Kinney's team up in Bellingham, every day, one of their admin people sends about 100 of that email into the database. We're just mining our own database, trying to see if anybody in our database might be interested in what their house is worth. And the cool thing is because we're sending these as emails, when they get that email and they head to our home value page, if they're already in our database and they go and fill out that home value page and use the same email, it'll just connect that new lead. Now, it won't be a new lead. It'll be somebody in our database already raising their hand to us again, but it'll connect that new lead to their existing contact record in the database for you. So when they do this, on average, they get one person out of every 100 they send to raise their hand. Somebody in that database, and they got a 34,000 person database, so they do it about 5 days a week. Every week they get 5 people in the existing database to raise their hand and go, you know what? I am curious what my house is worth. Whereas most teams get none. Most teams don't get any people just coming out of nowhere and raising their hand. No, these people didn't come out of nowhere. We drove them there. By the way, if you shoot that, there's a variety of, I didn't write those things that are on there. What I did is I kind of wrote a half-ass one, and then I put it in Chat GPT, and I said, can you make this better? And then can you give me a couple variations of this? You guys could take one of the ones I've written in there, put it in Chat GPT and say, hey, can you give me 3 variations of this and maybe make it a little better? By the way, you really didn't even have to hop over to Chat GPT if you didn't want to. You can come into Brivity, and inside of Brivity, we've got the AI help me write functionality where you can take that email, paste it in here, and then just say, hey, make this better. And they would spit back the same email in a better version. If you wanted to change the tone on it, you could, get more professional. I have mine as casual, confident, and direct. Or I guess that's how Jolene has hers because I'm in Jolene's account here. This AI helped me write things. Pretty sweet little functionality inside of Brivity. If you're somebody that's always kind of spending that extra 3 minutes, Brent, to make your emails sound perfect, use this. AI helped me write. Wasn't even in my slides, but we got to it because that's how I made some of these emails. I'm not smart enough to make these emails. All right, next tool in here. Some of you guys might need some leads, right? You might need a few more prospects in your business to grow it this year. The Facebook lead campaigns that you can run out of the back of Brivity Marketer in, real quick, let me just take us over there. You can run out of the back of Brivity Marketer right here, right? I come in here, inside Brivity Marketer, I can run direct mail campaigns, print media, digital ads. These digital ads right here, just listed, just sold, open house. Right now, we're still seeing leads about $3 to $4 a lead, especially if you have homes. I can. Angie, if you're looking for these 2 emails, I'll just tell you, just shoot this QR code right here, and they are inside of that QR code. The emails live on a document that you can get right from that QR code. The Facebook leads, $3 to $4 a lead. They're really, really effective if you have a home in the first time buyer price point in your market. We see people getting leads even more affordably than $3 to $4 a lead. And then if you have a listing in that first move up price point, those two, the first move up price point is a really sweet spot where you can get really affordable buyer leads, but a lot of those people might also have a house to sell. So like here in Bothell, Christian, if you had $1 million listing here in Bothell, right? That tends to be a move up price point. We've got homes here in Bothell at 6, 7, 800,000 in there, right? They can get in at 6, 7, 800,000 in Bothell. They're going to move up to that $1 million house. They're probably going to go sell a $700,000 house. The Facebook lead campaigns that you would use to promote, and I mean, you could, $100 on a campaign. If I had a listing out $1 million in Bothell, is going to get me. Now in Bothell, they might be $5, $6 a lead, but man, I get 18 to 20 leads, and the home ownership rate in Bothell is like 65%. So if I got 20 leads, I could make some assumptions that 13 of them are likely homeowners. But the thing about Facebook is that $1 million house, they were likely putting in front of homeowners already. And if you guys don't think Facebook knows if we own houses or not, you're wrong. They do. The Facebook lead campaign or the Facebook lead tool is it's still today, I think, underutilized. Now, most real estate businesses, I'll just tell you guys right now, don't need more leads. You guys need to convert the leads we have in the database already. But if you're looking to grow your business, some of you that will require a nice flow of leads, and you can get them really affordable here. And the difference, look, if you want to just have a consistent flow of leads, always let our team manage a budget for you. Right? But if you want to do things like in some of our businesses that Ben partners with, we'll use the phrase, has the business earned the right to have a spend on leads? And sometimes the business itself fully hasn't earned the right, but one of the agents on the team has. And so I might spend $100 when they bring a listing because they're doing everything they can to drive the team. And I got a couple other people that aren't. So I'm not going to spend money across the whole business, but I'll spend it on Jill. This is a great tool to do that. I talked about some of the things our team can do. So they can do PPC leads for you. They can run your own they can run your Facebook campaigns. They've also got this this retargeting concept. And one of the campaigns that they run for some of our kind of more efficient teams is this idea of we target all the sellers in their database with targeted advertising. So to those sellers in the database, it looks like Claudel spends $1 million a month on advertising because everywhere they go online, Claudel, they see you, right? The apps they play, the websites they visit, when they're at work on their computer, like we follow them around and make it seem like Claudel spends $1 million on advertising. Now she doesn't. She could probably get this off for a couple $100 on a targeted group of people in our database, but it's just that it's threading. It's combining the market reports that show up with them, the CMA you did for them this year, the omnipresence as they move through the internet, always seeing your ads on the New York Times or in their Facebook feed or in their Instagram stories. It's another way we can drive them back to that hand-raising spot where they can find out what their house is worth. All right. This single tool, I firmly believe, guys, I've been doing this 22 years. I ran a real estate business where sometimes we were awesome at converting and sometimes we sucked really bad. I have the honor today of consulting with some of the biggest teams in real estate, 1,000 deals a year teams. I love the story of my mom, 79 deals in her first year and really hated cold calling. The dialer inside of Brivity, really a dialer, but we have one built into Brivity, is easily the single biggest differentiator that we've seen. And here's why. As we study databases and we've studied, because Brivity goes all the way from help you bring the leads in, doesn't matter where they come in from, right? And we help you guys nurture those leads and then you can manage your transactions in Brivity. We have this end-to-end view of thousands of real estate businesses. And so over this started about just before COVID. In 2019, we really started digging into the data of databases and trying to understand why do some teams extract 40% of the potential business that lives in their database and other teams extract 8%. I met with a team yesterday. They extract 8% of the business out of their database. They have a massive database and it looks like this team did 300 deals last year. And it looks like that's a big business, but that was 8% of the potential business that lived in there. So if we've studied thousands of businesses, the one data point that sticks out, it blares out of the data, is this thing we've called database turnover rate. And Brett, what database turnover rate says is, Brett, how long would it take you to call your database one time? Not to talk to them all, because we can't control whether they answer the phone or not, but literally how long would it take me to call them once? So let's just say, Brett, that you had a 3,000 person database and you called 100 of them a month. Right? If I had a 3,000 person database and I logged a call in my Brivity to 100 of them a month, how many months would it take me to call the entire database? It would take me 30 months. Now, if I had a 3,000 person database and I logged 300 calls this month, it'd take me 10 months to call them. Here's what we found. You are massively inefficient, especially if you're buying more leads, until you can get your database down to a place where you're turning it over every 3 to 4 months. I want you guys to hear that from me. In fact, it's one of our major indicators on our teams of should we be buying more leads. Because if we had a database turnover rate of a 10, we're really going to get one call into everybody in the database this year, and a couple people would get a second call in months 11 and 12. This understanding how to use this tool unlocks the potential to call your database. We've sat with people in Ben Kinney's office in Bellingham. I've personally sat with them with my iPhone right behind them and timed them as they made phone calls. And what I was timing was from the time they hung up until the time they had keyed in and it was dialing to the next person, how long did that take? And what we find is when they're being timed, they know they're being timed. I'm literally sitting behind them. On average, they transition in 30 seconds, Cheryl, from call to call. The funny thing is when they start, so we time them for like 30 minutes at a time, right? When they start at the beginning of the 30 minutes, they're transitioning like in 20 seconds, right? They get off that call, they get into the database, they find the next phone number, they key it in, and they hit send, and the next call's ringing in about 20 seconds. By the end of that 30-minute session, they're sluggish. They've slowed down a little bit. They're transitioning in 35 or 38 or sometimes 40 seconds, even though I'm sitting there timing them. And that's not to mention, Ann Gilster, you ever been like in your real estate business, you're sitting down, you know you need to make some phone calls, but right when you go to pick up your phone, there's like a text message, or there's a Facebook message, or your email's got a notification, or Twitter, or Instagram, or my news app, or I'm just looking at all the different apps, my ADP app, or on and on, right? My phone calls, and this thing is designed by the smartest people in the world to pull you away from making the next call into your real estate business. You're literally fighting like the best and most brightest designers in all the world designed this thing with the sole purpose to distract you, Christian, from doing what we've proven with data is the most important thing you can do in your business, which is call somebody else in the database. The dialer eliminates that. In Ben Kinney's place world, we have 150 individuals, agents, that make over 1,000 dials a month into their database. Angie, you want to take a guess at how many of them use their cell phone and manually dial into the database? The answer is a resounding 0. There's not one person in our top 150 dialers that's doing it manually. This is a massive key to unlocking the potential that lives in your database. You guys want to do a quick exercise? What time is it? Here, let's do this really fast. You guys want to play along with me here? I want you to go find out, right, Claudel, right now, Ann, Angie, Christian, Edna, John, Brett, I'll address that in just a second. Go pull your phone out. You guys can see mine here. We're gonna figure out how much business is in your database. Okay. If you didn't add another lead today, you didn't add another lead ever, how many deals are going to live in your database this year? So what I want you to do is figure out how many leads you have in the database, right? So I'm just going to use a nice round number. I'm going to say my database has 5,000 people in it. Maybe yours has 3, maybe yours has 12. Okay. Then if you want to get really precise here, okay, Angie, just listen, then don't do anything silly and crash. But if you really want to be precise here, go Google the home ownership rate in your main county. So here, Brett, I'll do it, or Christian, I'll do it for us, right? So home ownership rate, you can see I do this all the time. Warren County, Iowa was one of the recent ones I did, but I'm going to say King County, Washington. Now, home ownership rate, King County, where is it? 63.8, I think. Yeah, 63.8, 2018. Oh, here we go. 66.6. One of the recent ones, right? A lot of times when you do that, I'm going to do it. So 66, let's do his neighboring county as well, right? Ooh, what do we got there? 70%. So I'm going to take a blended rate between 66 and 70, and I'm going to say my home ownership rate is 68%. Maricopa, Brett says, is 63. Awesome. So take how many leads you have and multiply it by point. I'm going to do 6.8. Brett, you're going to do 0.63 times 0.68 for me. So I have 3,400 homeowners that live in my database. Now, the National Association of Realtors says on average they move every 13 years. So if they move every 13 years, then a 13th of them move each year. So I'm going to take my homeowners that live in my database, I'm going to divide it by 13. In a normal year, my 5,000 person database in King and Snohomish County here has 261 transactions living in it. Now, I might say, you know what, this year is not going to be normal. And if we went from 5.5 in a normal year to 4 million, that's a 30% reduction. I'm going to multiply this by 0.7, and I'm going to say this year my database is probably going to have about 183 transactions. Now, what we know, look, if you're looking at that number and you're like, oh my God, I did, 183, and our team, my team did 47, right? And I'm like, 47 divided by 183, like I got 25% of the business. The cool thing is there's a lot of opportunity left in the database if we never spent another dollar on another lead. What we find, most teams are between 8 and 15%. If you have a smaller database, that's generally people so it's like you run a really heavy sphere referral-based business, you tend to have smaller databases extracting higher percentages, but those businesses have smaller growth. Right? This year I did 33, next year I did 34, then I did 37, then I went back to 31, then I did 39. Like slower growth on those businesses. It's when we can start to add more people into the database, but we've got to be able to convert them. Some of these tools we're talking about are some of the things we can do to convert them. Most of you guys don't need more leads in your business. In fact, as we've really studied these businesses, one of the biggest kind of unforced errors or biggest expenses is unconverted leads. Unconverted leads. The dialer can really help us. Now, Brett, your question was, does the dialer come from your phone number? Unfortunately, no. Verizon and T-Mobile have not allowed us yet to tap into your cell phone. So you get a Brivity dedicated phone number. Now we've got, especially with your past clients in Sphere, a really kind of strong approach there is add your Brivity phone number to your own contact card on your cell phone. And then your next outreach to your Sphere past clients, make it be a text out to them that's your contact card. Hey, Jim, this is Brett. Listen, I got a new business line. I added to my contact card. Do me a favor and update your contact card for me in your phone. That way, Brett, the next time you call them, if you call from the dialer or you call from your cell phone, they're not going to know the difference. They're just going to see Brett showing up on their phone. And then your leads, they didn't know your cell phone number anyway, right? Cool. Brivity dialer, you guys, I'm telling you, if you can unlock the dialer in your database, it's a game changer. Now, we're going to do some deals this year, and a big part of your guys' business is delivering when you do the deal with somebody so that they'll refer people to you in the future. So our transaction functionality is really strong inside of Brivity. There's these auto plans that can automate a lot of the communication. So we can do things like automate a text message that goes out to our seller 2 days before the inspection, reminding them they got an inspection coming up in 2 days and telling them the name and the phone number of the inspector in case anything changes and they needed to reach out to that inspector. Like that type of functionality can be done automatically inside of Brivity's transaction management platform if you know what you're doing. We have classes that, every week, live classes, you can drop into our Brivity, what do we call them? I don't know, little lunch and learns. We've got Brivity happy hour, office hours, where you can just literally drop in on Donna or Cindy and they're there to answer whatever questions. Maybe one of those questions is, hey, help me get some of these smart transaction auto plans set up that Bob was talking about. So this, like, my clients can get some automated communication from me and I don't have to be the one updating them from, my phone every week. There's a portal that your clients get access to, or they can kind of get some visibility on what it is you're doing to get their house sold or get their pending buyer transaction through to the finish line. If you run a team, doesn't have to be a big team. We also use this automation in here on our own teams to inform our agents of everything that we're doing to help them get their transactions to the finish line, which is part of why they joined our team, for us to help kind of support that admin side of their business. But we want to remind them constantly of what we're doing on every transaction. So we've got automations going out to the agent on the team, letting them know what the admin staff is doing, as well as to the client, letting them know what the team is doing for the client. And then all that stuff is living in that portal back there for the client to log into anytime to see where we're at, see the marketing we've done so far, all that fun stuff. This is actually one of my favorite tools. And I think John Wood, maybe there's a reason that Quickly is one of my favorite tools. I've worked a lot of leads in my life. We had a real estate brokerage in Washington State from like 2002 to 2008. I've called thousands of leads. I've had people tell me to get lost, F you. Where'd you get my cell phone number? I just, sorry, wrong number. I've emailed people that email back and said, lose my email address. I never gave it to you. I don't know where. I've never once heard of anybody getting a fake lead on Quickly. And the reason it's not possible is because the only time you get a lead is when somebody with a cell phone on the other end texts your keyword. Now, this is a strategy to use out at your listings, but there's a whole multitude of strategies you could use Quickly around. And the way I like to think about it is if you have physical marketing in the real world, it could be enhanced with a text call to action. And that's what Quickly is. It's text calls to action. Now, the most obvious place is at your sign, right? At your listing. I recently had they were a Brivity client, and I was in their database, kind of going through it with them. And I'm like, hey, you guys don't have any Quickly leads. Have you not deployed Quickly yet? And when we deploy Quickly, essentially what that is it's a sign that goes out with your listing. Could be a little rider, although we kind of coach and train around an 18 by 24 kind of standalone sign that it's like your sign's here, that rider is kind of right next to it. And there's some psychology behind why you do that as somebody's driving by the actual property. But that version will do twice as many leads per month as a traditional 6-inch by 24-inch rider. Now, here's why I love these leads. They can't be faked. I can remember, Brett, the first time Bill Gates ever signed up on our website, and we sell real estate. Our office is in Bellevue. I could have thrown a rock over to Microsoft. And so this was back in 2002, and we were like one of the only real estate websites on the internet back then. So in my head, it was Bill Gates. No, it didn't end up being Bill Gates, right? It was a fake lead. We never got a fake Quickly lead. It's always their cell phone number. It's always like the most valuable piece of contact information we could have for them. And if we can give them information while they're standing out in front of our property, the photos, the price, the details of the property in exchange for their cell phone number, that's an awesome trade. In fact, on my mom's Quickly leads, 1 in 13 of her Quickly leads turns into an executed contract in the first 9 or 30 days. Like, that's really, really good, from a lead conversion perspective, right? It's like 7.5% or something like that, or turning into an actual contract for her in the first 30 days. And 1 in 3 of those contracts is a listing. Why? Because a lot of times when your sign goes out at the property, one of those first people that walks by and is like, "Ooh, I wonder what the Johnsons listed their house for," and texts that code is a neighbor who, based on what the Johnsons sell their house for, might be thinking about selling their house. We also just get buyers. Imagine if every buyer that drove by, and instead of jumping out and grabbing your flyer, when they jumped out to grab your flyer, you could grab their hand and be like, "Hey, what's your cell phone number? I'll trade you this flyer for your cell phone number." That's essentially what Quickly is. Great opportunity to pick up additional leads when we take a listing this year, maybe get the neighbor's listing. Every listing you do is a showcase for somebody in that neighborhood, right? We want to make sure we were using awesome tools to not just capture that next buyer that might come through, but also to potentially capture that next seller that's walking around the neighborhood, walking their dogs tomorrow. And then Brivity Marketer, I went into Brivity Marketer for just a minute and showed you guys I kind of quickly touched on the digital ad functionality in here. Brivity Marketer also has direct mail that you can do out of here with all sorts of kind of trackable campaigns where you can put QR codes on the postcards, and we track who shoots that QR code and give you a lead back all the way to the address of the house. And there's a tool in Brivity you can go to look up their name, email, and phone number. Print media, if you guys doing any kind of flyers, watch how easy it is for me to make a sold flyer in here. I just come in here, I pick the flyer that I want. I come in here, I type in the MLS number of the property. I'm just going to grab this one because it's here, but I hit create print media, boom. I've got a just sold flyer for my property. If I wanted to switch out some of the photos, super easy to switch out the photos. I just come in here and edit my design. Boom. It's got all the MLS data is in here already for us. So every single property's in here, all your listings, all the photos, like boom, MLS photos. I come in here. I know I want to swap. I don't need 2 pictures of the front of the house. Let's grab a picture of the kitchen. And so I just come in here until I find a picture of the kitchen. And then I just drag it right in there. Boom. Off we go. I download it. I can print it. Easy stuff. Claudel, thanks for joining us. All right, that's the last tool that I have in here. Here's what I would say to you guys. If you sat through this and you're not a Brivity, if you sat through this and you're a Brivity client, go execute on a couple of the things I talked about. If you sat through this and you're not a Brivity client, you're thinking, man, you know what? How much is this thing? Text platform to 59559, and then you can book a call with one of our team. There's different options based on how big your team is, and some totally affordable price points. As your team gets larger, we scale up with your business. Text platform to 59559 right now. You sat here for 60 minutes, and if you aren't going to text platform, Christian, awesome. And listen, Christian, if you become a client, buddy, I'm like 2 miles down the road from you. You call or text me anytime. Maybe we can meet at Starbucks, and I'll help you turn your Brivity into fire. Listen, you guys, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. If you're not a Brivity client, you owe it to yourself to check it out. We're powering thousands of the biggest businesses in real estate, and we would love to be your partner in tech. You guys have an awesome afternoon. Enjoy the sun if you're down there in Arizona. Christian and I will be dodging the rain up here in sunny Seattle. John Wood, have a great day, buddy. We'll talk to you guys later.